Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Math with Mullins. Today we're going to look at lesson 2.2, angle relationships. So we'll be able to look at some complementary, supplementary angles, what is a perpendicular line or perpendicular angle going to be, and then how to understand of what can and cannot be assumed from a diagram. We're going to get started with some vocabulary words. If you need to pause the video at any time so you can make sure you've got some stuff copied down, please feel free. But we're going to start right now with complementary angles. Those are two angles with measures that have a sum of 90 degrees. So like say if you have a 30 degree and a 60 degree angle, and this is maybe not drawn to scale, but that's essentially what we're going to look for, equaling 90 degrees. Supplementary angles have two angles that equal, when they're added together, a sum of 180. So maybe we have like a 20, or we can even say this is maybe 60 degree and a 120 degree angle. Those are going to be added together to 180, so it'd be considered supplementary. Or a straight line, straight angle. That's one way I remember supplementary. Supplementary and straight both start with the letter S. Perpendicular just means when you have lines, segments, or rays that intersect at right angles. So I'm just going to draw two lines, and then it would also be notated that it would be a right angle with that little right angle box in the corner. If you need to pause here to make sure you've gotten all of the things written down, feel free. Otherwise, let's go ahead and continue on with example number 1. So naming a pair of complementary angles, again, complementary, we're thinking about 90 degrees. So we would use angle SOT, which is right here, that's 15, and angle TOP. Okay, those both add together and give us 90 degrees, 15 plus 75. A pair of supplementary angles, that's the 180 degree. I'm thinking angle TOP and angle POQ could be a pair of supplementary angles. They have to be right next to one another. They're adding to be 80 degrees. And then two rays that are perpendicular. Remember, we're looking for that right angle. So I would say ray OS and ray OR are making that perpendicular angle. Go ahead and try these maybe on your own. You can pause it first, and when you're ready to check, go ahead and click play. So the first example says find the complementary angle to 28. All I'm doing is just taking my 90 and subtracting 28, and I'm going to get 62 degrees. The next one's kind of tricky because it says find the complementary angle to 92 degrees. You can still start with 90 and subtract to 92, but this time you're going to get a negative 2 degree angle. That just means we might be slightly over 90 degrees, and that negative 2 angle is just going to push us back to be exactly 90 degrees. The supplementary angle to 28, we start with 180 for that one. That's supplementary's total. Subtracting 28, we're going to get 152 degrees. And then the supplementary angle to 92, that's just 180 minus 92, we're going to get 88 degrees. Okay, how did you do? Example 3, that's flipping over your paper and then seeing what we try here. It says 1 and 2 are supplementary angles. If the measurement of angle 1 is 4x minus 18 and measurement of angle 2 is 5x minus 9, then what could be the measure of angle 2? Well, we know supplementary angles can be added together and equal 180 degrees. So I'm going to write these two expressions and set them equal to 180. And I'm going to go ahead and combine some like terms. So I got 9x minus 27 equals 180. And then to start to solve for x, I'm going to add 27 to both sides. So we're going to get 9x is equal to 207. And then when we divide by 9, x is 23. Okay, so I'm going to take that, plug it in for angle 2. So 5 times 23 minus 9, 115 minus 9, or angle 2 would be equal to 106 degrees. Okay. Angle 4 is kind of a trickier question. It's giving a description of that equation and seeing how they fit. So finding the measures of two complementary angles, so 90 degrees. If the measure of the larger angle, so larger is 5 more than 2 times the measure of the smaller. So we can say we don't know what the smaller angle is, so we can maybe label smaller angle as x, and the larger angle is 5 more than 2 times that amount. So that's why I wrote 2x plus 5 for that larger amount. I'm going to put both of these together, or sorry, 5 more than 4 times. So this 2x actually should be 4x. Let's just rewrite that. 4x plus 5. Didn't read that carefully. 4 times. So 4 times x plus 5. Okay. We know that those are my two expressions representing that. So now we're going to put them together. So 4x plus 5, that's my large, plus my smaller, x is equal to 90 degrees. Let's combine some like terms here. So 5x plus 5 is equal to 90, or 5x is equal to 85. So that means x has to be 17. So my smaller angle is 17 degrees, but for my larger one, I can either do 17 minus 90 or plug x right back in to that 4x plus 5. Either way, you should get 73 degrees. Okay, how'd you do? The last one, maybe see if you can try this one on your own. The difference between the measure of two supplementary angles is 18 degrees. The measure of the smaller angle is what? And the larger angle is blank. Go ahead and pause it here. See if you can try that on your own. And when you're ready, click play. All right, so this one could be an algebraic type based question where you're solving systems of linear equations. The reason why it could be linear is I can take x plus y. So those are two different supplementary angles. And if I add them together, they should be equal to 180 degrees. But it also says the difference between them, so x minus y, can be equal to 18, okay? And what I'm seeing here is I am going to solve the systems of linear equations, SOLE, using elimination. Elimination just means I can set them up just like this, one right on top of the other, and I'm noticing that y's can cancel out. So plus y and minus y cancel out, but these x's can be added together to be 2x, and 180 plus 18, I can get 198 for that. Solving for x, divide both sides by 2 so that x is equal to 99. So if x is equal to 99, I can just take 180, subtract 99 degrees, I'm going to be left with 81 degrees. So the measure of the smaller angle would be 81 degrees, and the measure of the larger one would be 99 degrees. And they still have that distance, or the difference, of 18 degrees. Okay? Onward to question 6. Which statements are true? This is where we need to assume from what's given to us, are these going to be true? KHJ, so here's KHJ, and then GHM. Are those complementary? No, we have no indication that they're equal to 90 degrees. So we would have to say no for that one. GHK and JHK are a linear pair. That would be yes. A linear pair is a straight angle or a supplementary angle. They're making that straight line. HL is perpendicular to HJ. Here's HL. Here's HJ. They are not making a perpendicular line because there's no indication that these are equaling to 90 degrees. So we're going to say no for that one. GHM and MHK are adjacent angles. If you look closely, here's GHM, and then MHK also shares that same side. So yes, we would say that they are adjacent. If you need to see it better, here's GHM, and then MHK goes out this way. So they're still sharing that common side. And then HL is perpendicular, misspelled that there, to HM. Yes, HL and HM are making that 90 degree angle. It's notated there, so we would say yes for this last one. Then we have a few more of solving for the missing variable. Let's go ahead and pause here so you can try these on your own, and when you're done, click play. All right, so the first one, these are complementary. So we're going to set 5r plus 7 and plus 7r minus 1 equal to 90 degrees. Combining like terms, 12r plus 6 equals 90, or 12r is equal to 84. So that means r is equal to 7, and we're just solving for the missing variable, so I don't have to plug that back in. These next two are supplementary angles or straight angles, so 9k plus 6 plus 4k plus 5 is equal to 180. 9k and 4k are going to give me 13k, where 6 and 5 would give me 11, setting equal to 180, or 13k is equal to 169, so that means k is equal to 13. And then our last one, this one's kind of tricky. It shows a straight line. This is already 90 degrees, so I'm thinking the leftover amount is whatever the difference is between 180 and 90. So that means that 46 and q minus 3 together should be equal to 90, because that's our leftover amount. So 46 plus q minus 3 equals 90 degrees, or q plus 43 equals 90 degrees, which means q has to be 47. Okay? Excuse me. That's all we have for today. So thanks for tuning in for another episode of Math with Mullins, and we'll catch you next time.